Welcome back everyone. In this video, we will be going over 6 mastery methods to boost your SAT digital score within 2 weeks. Because I want you guys to get a perfect score on this extremely hard digital SAT that's coming up. So the first method you have to use to make sure you do amazing on the digital SAT is to take mock exams. And with the digital SAT, there's not many mock exams out there, right? College Board has released 4, and those exams also, they're not really adaptive like the true digital SAT. So it kind of gives you a false representation of what to expect. So the College Board digital SAT practice tests, they're cool for practice, but at the same time, they're just not representative of the real thing. And that's the reason why I highly recommend you guys to check out LearnQ.ai, because they have multiple mock tests that you can take, and they have the same adaptiveness nature for the module 2, and they give you a full score breakdown of what you can improve on, how you can improve on it, and what you can do to ultimately boost your score to a 1600, 1500 plus, any score you possibly could think of. And they have a cool projected score setting, so you can literally see what you're on track for, and it's deadly accurate. And they also have a cool AI tutor that can answer a lot of questions for you. But definitely check them out because they have a bunch of practice exams that you can use the digital SAT that are like extremely good, like way better than College Boards. So if you're interested, check the link in the description below. Like, I barely promote other businesses, as you guys know, but this one right here is definitely gonna help you guys a lot. The second big thing you gotta do is getting used to the language of these new SAT problems, because yes, the concepts are the same, right? The math questions are the same. The reading questions are practically the same. The way the reading question is worded is different. Yes, it's still testing, can you make an inference based on the data given in a reading passage, but the way it's gonna ask the question is a little different than what you're used to seeing. So if you're just practicing paper SAT exams, that's not good enough, because the language, although the concepts are the same, because it's different, that could lead you to getting the problem wrong, which kind of is stupid, because if you know the concept, you should get it right regardless. But sometimes the language can't trip you up, and with the SAT being such a tricky exam with this language, you don't want to make it even harder for yourself by not experiencing the digital SAT language prior. Now, if you look at certain SAT digital problems, you see that the approach is easy to hard. That's the way the SAT exam is structured. Like, for example, if you take this problem, SAT practice test 2 number 4, it's asking for the y-intercept of the graph. This is probably one of the easiest questions I've ever seen in the SAT in my life, but it is the 4th problem, because the way the modules work, especially module 1, is it goes from easy to hard. So if you're a student who's struggling with time, try to knock those easy questions out as fast as possible, because you're gonna need that time for the hard questions. And if you do this question, obviously you can see that it crosses the y-axis when x is 0, so you can eliminate the choices A and B, and you're left with C and D, and it crosses the y-axis at 8, right, when y equals 8. Boom, easy question. For done. Now, if you look at number 17, you got to master the circle methods, right? The digital SAT loves throwing in circle questions. So for a question like this, it might seem hard at first, but let's really break it down, right? 144 pi is the circumference. The length of arc PS is twice the length of arc PQ. So let's say S is equal to 2Q. So what's the length of arc QR? Okay, so length arc QR is the same thing as PS. So let's find PQ, which is the same thing as SR, right? So how can we do this? The best way to do this is use these choices to help us solve the problem. So if we pretend A is the answer, right? If QR is 24, that means SP is 48. 48 plus 48 is 96. 24 plus 24 is 48, right? Now, if you add them 2 together, you get 144 circumference. So A is your answer. Simple as that. All I did was I literally took the first answer choice, plugged it in as a potential answer, reversed, solved the problem, and it worked. That's a great way, a great method to solve these circle questions or a lot of SAT questions, is use the answer choices, put them as the answer, and reverse solve the problem to see if you get the correct answer. Table of values is something you must master as well, because there's a lot of table questions you face, whether it be statistic questions, simple functional questions. Like in this case, you're faced with a functional question, right? It says which table of values represents y equals f of x minus 3. It's pretty simple, right? So when x equals -6, what should y equal? 0. But now it's minus 3. So the solution, -6, 0 is going down 3, so it should be -6, -3. And if you look at the choices, only B and C have that. So let's try -5. -5. You plug that in, you get 0. So y is 0, but now it's y minus 3, so it should be -5, -3. And only choice B has that. So as a result, choice B is your answer. You know, trying out the choices, plugging what you got to, and doing a process of elimination is a good mastery method to practice, especially with these table questions. Just go look through each table one by one, see if it violates anything. If it does, eliminate it, move on to the next table. And finally, exponential questions, guys. Exponential questions are a big thing on digital SAT. Easy way to master it, just remember, is rate minus 1% or rate plus 1%. So 1 minus 1% or 1 plus 1%. So in this case, number 23, we see the value of QX decreases by 45% for for every increase in the value of x by 1, right? So x is basically time in this case. So as time goes onward, then the function is decreasing. Okay, so if it's decreasing, that means the rate is decreasing at a 45% rate. So the inside of the parentheses should be 1 minus 45%, which is equal to 0.55. So if you use that, we're only left with C. Boom, C is your final answer. Something super simple, easily found the answer. All we had to do was a 1 minus percent trick. Did that, got the answer, moving on. These are the methods you must implement when you're studying for the digital SAT and practicing for it, whether it be on LearnQ.ai, using College Board's practice test, whichever medium, because these tricks will help you solve these digital SAT questions extremely fast. And when Module 2 comes around, Module 2 is obviously the harder one, it's sometimes significantly harder, especially if you do really good on Module 1. These same tricks will apply. And no matter how hard they make Module 2, there's a cap to the difficulty it can be. And because there's a cap, these tricks cover the entire range of questions. So whether the question be a Module 1 question or extremely hard maxed Module 2 question, your trick will help you solve the problem and get it right. So be sure to match these tips and tricks and try these on your next digital SAT practice test you take. Thank you all for watching. Be sure to check LearnQ.ai. They have a ton of SAT digital practice tests that will help you a ton. Like, it will help you so much because it's more problems, more real, right? Because actual adaptive nature, and it's just gonna make sure your score is higher than you ever expected. Thank you all for watching. Peace.